Lorna Kavanagh just put an absolute beatdown on the two-time former flyweight champion. Arman Tsarukyan is the biggest crash out in UFC history. Yuri vs Ulberg has been announced for the vacant light heavyweight title, which means Alex is moving up to fight Gane at the White House, in my opinion. And Carlos Prates vs Jack Della Maddalena has been announced for the Perth main event in early May. There is never a dull moment in the UFC. Just when the Dan Hooker files dropped last week, I thought it couldn't get any better, but it just keeps doing so. So we're going to break it down today. Starting with Lorna Kavanagh, an unranked flyweight coming off a knockout loss, steps up against Brandon Moreno, a former two-time flyweight champion, and beats him down for 5 rounds. Has him hugging against the cage, knees to the thighs, putting up beautiful combinations. The calf kick is flowing. It was an unbelievable performance. To be that young of a fighter, to bounce back like that after being KO'd in your last fight against some stiff competition who we'll have to talk about being washed now. Brandon Moreno is definitely on the other side of his career, but it's still incredibly impressive. Where does he go from here? Well, he's right at the top. If he wants the big matchups, he can get the big matchups. Brandon Royval is waiting for him. Manel Kape is waiting for him, given that they've left Kape out of the title picture. There are big fights here for Lorna Kavanagh. It will be interesting to see what they do with Lorna Kavanagh now, because Brandon Moreno is now a hot water check. You know, Brandon Moreno's last couple of performances haven't looked good, even when he's winning. So I will be excited to see what they do with Lorna Kavanagh, whether they give him the big matchups or they give him another check to see if he really is at that level. In other news, Arman Tsarukyan is being Arman Tsarukyan. I've never seen a rich kid with such a violent temper. Every 4 months he has to do the biggest crash out shit in the world. Flight would have him with a Hall of Fame badge for crashing out. He's a menace to society. This time, after the fight ends at RAF versus Giorgio, he punches him in the face and then knees a grounded opponent. That's illegal even in MMA. But Arman Tsarukyan just can't help himself. Yes, he was getting provoked the whole fight. I don't really blame him for what he did, but every time with this guy, the guy's got a few shorter than Lorna Kavanagh. He's easy to switch on. He's ready for a fight at any moment, and I've never personally heard of a rich kid with such a violent attitude towards anything in my entire life. He wins as an underdog at RAF, very impressive win, holds his temper for almost the whole fight. You know, he's slapping here and there, but that's kind of what you expect from Arman Tsarukyan. And then bang, the bell goes, chaos breaks out, a full-blown brawl at RAF, and they're saying they don't want him anymore. I'm sure they'll bring him back. At least from an MMA fan's perspective, the only reason I even care about RAF is because Arman Tsarukyan makes it massive. So I would like to see him back at RAF, and he's probably going to have a couple more wrestling bouts before he steps foot in an octagon again. So let's have him back. Stop being a crash out. There must be some sort of fine in place for Arman Tsarukyan. Dana White has been dropping bombs of announcements on us recently. Great fight after great fight. He's made UFC 327 absolutely stacked to the brim, with the main event being Carlos Ulberg versus Yuri Prochazka for the vacant light heavyweight title. We kind of knew this was going to happen. It seemed like Alex was gearing for a move up for quite a while now, but it's finally set in stone. Yuri Prochazka finally gets his shot at the title against someone not named Alex Pereira. This could be it. What UFC fans have been waiting for so long. Yuri Prochazka gets a stand-up match for the title. Now, Carlos Ulberg is a very tricky opponent. He's probably going to be the favourite in this fight, but I'm backing Yuri all the way. Autism wins. It's the best base for MMA, and Yuri Prochazka is going to put hands on Carlos Ulberg. As for Alex Pereira, he's got a couple of matchups he could have. Are they going to slug Jones out of retirement? I know he's back in the testing pool. Is Tom Aspinall going to be ready? Or in my opinion, is it going to be Ciryl Gane? The guy who cheated his way to title shot after title shot, cheated in the title fight against Tom Aspinall, and he's now been rewarded with what will be a probable fight with Alex Pereira for the vacant heavyweight title. Yes, I say vacant. I think they are going to strip Tom. I don't think you have Alex Pereira move up and not be the main event of the White House, and I don't think they're going to have an interim title fight as the main event. So unfortunately for Tom, whether he relinquishes or they make him give it up, he is going to be not the heavyweight champion in a couple of months, I do fear. I think Alex might be able to pull this off. I think Ciryl Gane is the favourable matchup for him. A striking matchup, kickboxer versus kickboxer. Let's see who's got it. In my opinion, Alex Pereira has all the capabilities to sleep Ciryl Gane. and let's just watch it play out at the White House, because Cyril Gane needs sleeping immediately. He's been given too many title shots and been rewarded too many times for illegal activity. Not to speak of John Jones and his Finally in this video, to keep up with the matchmaking brilliance of Hunter Campbell or Dana White or whoever you want to credit, JDM versus Carlos Prates has been announced for the Fight Night Perth main event in early May. A banger of a matchup, certainly gets a title fight if he were to win, does Carlos Prates, and JDM stepping back in there with a quick turnaround after losing to Islam Makhachev. He only fought at UFC 322 and now he's going to fight before UFC 328. So very impressed with JDM's turnaround. Obviously didn't get the result, but he's going to get a striking matchup in Carlos Prates where he wants it. Prates is going to be very dangerous, knockout power at all times. It's a great main event. We love to see main events like this, and it's actually making sense. You know, I don't know what they do with Michael Morales now. I think they're going to give Ian Garry the title shot, but it's smart matchmaking. It's the right next step for Prates. As for JDM, I would like to see him fight a wrestler before he goes back in for a title shot. He's going to have to win a couple before that happens anyway. But I would like to see him get his stride back, get his flow, because JDM's boxing is crisp and elite. And I think people are going to really underestimate him after the Islam Makhachev loss. So I would love to see him get back in a big way. But it's a win-win for a fan, you know. If JDM wins, he's still got it. If Prates wins, the hype is more than real. That goes down early May at the Perth main event. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more weekly updates on the UFC, please subscribe and leave a like for more.